Hello, and I will be talking about the carambola starfruit, and its scientific name is Averrhoa carambola. It is also known as cambola, spew, and tamarindo chino. Now, it is from the family Oxalidaceae, um, and it does originate in Sri Lanka or the Moluccas from Indonesia. Its common name is starfruit or carambola, and it's currently grown throughout the whole world, but mostly in the tropics or subtropics, such as Asia, Africa, Central and South America. Here in the United States, it's mostly grown in California and Florida as well. It's also grown in the Caribbean islands, and it's grown in places with high humidity as well, with lots of sun exposure. A detailed description of the fruit, as you can see here, is it's got a pretty firm skin. It's got a pretty firm skin. It's got ridges along longitudinal ridges as well. It can have as little as 4 or as many as 8. It mostly has 5, so when you actually cut it, it looks like a star sideways. And here, if you would like to see it, it looks like a star as well. If you were to cut it in slices, it would look like a star as well. It's oval shaped. It like I said, resembles a star. When it is ripe, it is usually a light green to yellow color as well. And there are two types of this fruit. There is the small sour, or there is the large sweet one. I honestly don't know which one I have, so it's going to be a surprise. Um, it's mostly yellow when it's ripe. When it's overripe, it can be yellow with tinges of brown. As you can see, I am on the border of being overripe. Um, its flesh is translucent and it has 10 to 12 light brown seeds, which once they are taken out of the flesh, they are viable, I would like to say, for 4 days. And then after that, they die. So you have to plant them within that time or else they die. Um, it is grown in full sun, as I said before, with enough humidity, and the annual rainfall is typically around 70 inches, which is, again, tropics, subtropics. It requires very good drainage, so the soil isn't that important as long as it has very, very good drainage. It grows, I'm sorry, you have to fertilize it 3 times a year, and the trees are in the evergreen family as well, and those can grow up to 30 feet in length. The flowers are a pink to lavender color as well. Some economic importance, other than just nutritional value that the fruit has, are that it can be used in drinks. In third world countries, they use the flesh, they use the water from it. It has 4% sugar content, so it doesn't have that much sugar. Even when it's overripe or ripe, it doesn't have that much sugar. Um, it can be used for seasoning. It can also be used, actually, the sour type can be used to clean rust, and it can be used to bleach as well, and even dyeing fabric. So that's actually pretty interesting. The juice can be very acidic at times. I believe they call it oxalic acid, and it does have an odor to it as well. The entire fruit is edible. The entire fruit is edible and has the same consistency as grapes. It's best eaten when it's just ripe. You don't want it too ripe because it can be soggy. The consistency can be soggy and it can be bland in taste once it's overripe. And then when it's not ripe enough, it can be too tangy and sour as well. Um, it has a sour undertone, very, very small, and it tends to be when people describe the taste, they say it tastes like a mix between a pear, an apple, and grape as well. I did find a mythological or folkloric story along with the starfruit. And the story goes, and I believe this is from Asia, the story goes that was an elderly man and he had two sons. And when the man died, he left his fortune to his older son, who happened to be very greedy. And he left his younger son a hut and a starfruit tree. Starfruit tree. The older brother was very happy with his fortune and he had nothing to do with the younger brother. The younger brother was very poor. Him and his wife, they took care of the tree, they tended it, and over time it grew and it blossomed and, you know, it gave them fruit. It gave them fruit. So one day when they were ready to sell the fruit in the market, a raven came and ate all the fruit in the tree. And the wife was very distraught over this, and she was very sad, and so was the husband because they had no idea what they were going to do for money now. But the raven spoke to them and said, if you tend this tree, if you take care of this tree, the saying goes, I eat the star fruit, I pay in gold. So if they tended the tree, he would pay them back with riches. And he told them to have a 6-pound bag ready for him within a couple of days, and he would repay them for having fed him and taken care of this tree that was valuable to the raven. So they did that. They got a bag, they waited for the raven, and then a couple of days later the raven came and he carried the younger brother off. Um, and the younger brother was, of course, very surprised and had no idea what was going on. Well, the raven dropped him off towards a mountain, and he told him he could have anything he wanted that he could carry in that bag that he had sewn. So the brother did just that. He carried a substantial amount, but he wasn't greedy. He carried just enough that he could carry and just enough that the raven could carry both him and the bag. And that's what the raven did. And this continued on for quite some time. They tended the tree, and the raven would pay them back with gold. Well, the older brother got word of this, and he wanted more gold than what he already had from what the father had left him in his will and his fortune. And so he told the younger brother, who, by the way, him and his wife this whole time had been taking care of the less fortunate with the gold that the raven had given them. So the older brother told his younger brother, I will trade you my gold for your hut and your starfruit tree. And the younger brother agreed. So the younger brother and his wife gave him the tree, gave him the hut, and the older brother tended and waited for the raven to come. And the raven gave him the same proposition and said, because you've tended the tree, you sew a bag, and I will take you to fortune, and I will repay you. So the older brother, instead of just sewing one bag, he sewed multiple bags, and he took them with him. And when the raven took him to the mountain that was full of gold and riches, the older brother filled up about 6 bags of gold. And mind you, the raven had to carry both him and the bags back. So on the way back, the raven could not carry both the bags and the brother, and he wavered, and the older brother fell into the ocean and drowned. So the moral of the story is do not be greedy and be grateful for what you have. And that is the folklore that I found. Now, I have not tried this fruit yet, but I am about to try it, so hopefully it does not taste bad. Oh my god. It really does taste like a pear. It tastes like between a pear and an apple. Not to be gross or anything, but you can actually see that it looks like a star once you bite into it. This is actually pretty good.